Alright, chill. Before you skits out, hear me out. Individually, Madara would stomp all of these characters one-on-one. But, how would they do together? Just before the video starts, I just want to thank you guys for over 400 subscribers. I didn't actually think I would reach anywhere near even 100 subscribers when I first started. I thought maybe I'd get 20 and 7 views a video, so thank you guys so much for the support, and let's get into the video. This topic seems a little bit weird and strange for sure, but I was really unhappy with how the Akatsuki gets handled in most versus debates, with most people just saying, well, perfect Susanoo slaps GG, and they don't really get into the characters themselves. They don't go into how the fight would go. Are there any counters to jutsu? How would these characters fight together? You know, these sorts of questions I find are lacking a bit, and I've been trying to do that a little bit in my versus debates. I've sort of spoken about that in Orochimaru versus Kisame and my Nagato video, so let's just get into the topic right now, starting with Nagato. Similar to Madara, Nagato is a character that can be scaled well and truly above the likes of the 5 Kage, which should suggest that even in Madara's position, Nagato could perform maybe a similar way. Now, Nagato in my video did get a lot of hype from my comment section, so I do think it's fairly consistent that you guys agree that Nagato is this 5 Kage sort of rival. Nagato's best and only real feat is fighting KCM Naruto. Now, Naruto states in this fight that he's actually way more powerful than in his fight with Pain. This is insanely impressive and needs to be noted because Sage Naruto is actually amped by Intel, by Mount Miyaboku, by Katsuyu, and obviously Pain is fatigued, so some people would argue, well, Naruto was fatigued in his fight with Nagato, but it's actually more consistent that Nagato is way stronger, and so is Naruto. And if you'll remember that fight, Nagato slaps B and Naruto at the same time. The only real counter I see to this is like, well, Nagato absorbed Killer Bee's chakra, so he's amped, but with Madara swinging a Susanoo around made out of chakra, maybe, you know, Nagato could be amped again, but we'll get more into that later, so just keep a pin on that. Pain / Nagato is also a character that scales well and truly above the likes of Hanzo, which could beat the Sannin during the Third War. The Sannin, of course, while working together, get around a 3 times amp. We know that these Sannin are packing heat with Orochimaru's snake jutsu, Tsunade being able to revive them, and Jiraiya's tricky, slippery frog and hair tactics. They actually should be exceptionally powerful, and Pain just negs him, you know, in his early days. We also get statements regarding how Pain is the strongest in the Akatsuki. While this statement is very sort of ambiguous what this actually means and is very debated, with characters like Obito and Itachi sort of clinging to that strongest member as well, Pain's raw output and destructive ability, the massive Chibaku Tensei, the Shinra Tensei, the Soul Suck, his shared vision, amped reaction time, it's no wonder Pain was the big boss of the series, and when he was revived, him and Itachi thought they could accomplish anything. And this is consistent because throughout the whole show we see that the main bad guys, Orochimaru, Haku, Zabuza, all these people, they do struggle with the Ninetales cloaks and the Ninetales chakra. And Pain, at his weakest, while he's bleeding and he's fatigued and he's dying, can actually seal away nearly the full half of the Ninetales, and actually takes that 8 tails and 9 tails to break out, which is an absolute massive jump in power from just farts of the Ninetales cloak smacking up Neji and all them. Another thing about Pain as well is that he has insane hacks. We see all the time that the animal summons get bombarded when he enters the battlefield. We see that the shared vision amps his reaction time, the ability to absorb chakra, the ability to pull and pull objects. You know, you guys know the Renegon, I shouldn't have to explain it to you, but these abilities Madara would know about. He is a Renegon sort of connoisseur when he's in Edo. He gets the Renegon activated and he knows all the abilities, he knows how to use them, and while it might be argued that he doesn't use the Asura path and yada yada yada, it's, well, the main ones get used and the most powerful ones get used. He knows how to absorb chakra, he knows how to summon meteors, all that sort of good stuff. And of course, Madara is much stronger than Nagato. It's just the whole shonen progression. But it should be stated that in Nagato's favor that he is the most creative and versatile Rinnegan user. And I don't really see many people bring this up. In terms of just his ability, he is insanely creative and insanely fast at activating his jutsu. And I've brought that up with me and my friends Loco and Prodigy before in other videos and just in Discord. Nagato can react to Killer B without really even trying. And this is just the Asura part. This is Killer B, who is a rival for A, who is the fastest Kage. Moving on to Minato. Minato is an insane character that Kushina thinks could seal away the Nine Tails, the full thing, more than double of what Nagato can do. Now, whether or not you think he can do this, whatever. Kushina thinks it's that crazy. The other thing about Minato, of course, is his speed. His speed is maybe one of the most controversial things about him, because some people think he's slower than Tobirama, even though Tobirama said that Minato's better at flying Raijin, which is their whole thing, so let's just say that they're relative. Madara thinks that Tobirama is actually faster than him by saying that Tobirama used to boast the fastest speed. Now, boast could just mean brag and whatnot, but it might be likely that Tobirama, through just his flying Raijin, and Madara thinks that killing Izuna is such an impressive feat that he would in fact be faster than him with flying Raijin. Minato as well is a perfect sage. He doesn't think he's good at it, but maybe that's time limit, maybe it's senses, whatever. Whatever you guys think of Minato while he's alive, whether you think he's weak, I don't think he's weak, but if you guys think he's weak, just imagine him in sage mode, and then look at how badly he'd beat up the Nine Tails and Obito. Minato is a character that gets an insanely bad rap with how he performs in the war. In base form, Minato arrives to the battlefield before any of the Hokage, even before Sasuke, and in this he places markers around the battlefield, utilizes KCM, which we will be using for the video, and it's very strange because after this he's falling over his feet, he's speechless, he's not reacting properly. There are many perspectives as to why this is. One of the most well accepted perspective is, well, he is mental nerfed because Obito bullied him. Minato is a character that is described as like a golden child, and we see mental nerfs in Naruto can really affect people all the time. We see this in Hiruzen's case, we see this with Tsunade. You can get shaken up. One of Minato's best feats, and his most controversial, is being able to react to Jubi Madara's. These truth-seeking orbs may not be as fast as Madara, but what is important is that in the anime at least, whether or not you agree with the manga, in the anime, Guy is actually moving in slow motion compared to Minato, which means that maybe, I'm not saying this, but it's possible that Minato's at least reaction time and flying Raijin activation is insanely cracked, and it will be really important for this video because you need insane speed to fight Madara. Minato as well is very proactive, he's very smart, he figures out Kamui straight away, he is able to instantly place seals on characters like Killer B and Obito. In character, realistically, if Minato could even take one hit from Madara, we would see him tag him, and maybe you could say like, well, he didn't do this against Jubi Madara. I would just argue that the Madaras that we're using, which is Final Valley and Edo, are much weaker than that. Lastly, we will bring up KCM. We need to note that Minato in almost all of his best showings is in base. With a KCM cloak, the character is just insane. It is possible that if Minato gets a seal off, that is a huge advantage for these characters. If we're putting these characters up against Edo Madara, it is actually debatable whether or not he could seal him away. Now, I don't want to say that because there's no evidence to suggest that he could actually seal a character like Madara, because obviously Madara shits on the Nine Tails, but I'll leave that up to you guys. What do you think? Could Minato even seal away, even let's say like a weakened Madara? Like, I'll leave that up to you guys. Next, we need to talk about Itachi. If you've been on my channel for a long time, you know that I love Itachi, and it's actually kind of a massive shame that I haven't made a video on him yet. Itachi is a character that gets wanked a lot and also gets lowballed a lot. Me and my friends, we agree on a lot of things. Itachi scaling is not one of them, I'll tell you that for sure. So let me just go over Itachi. Itachi is a once-in-a-generation shinobi. He's described as the shinobi of chaos, that even someone as arrogant as Danzo actually thinks that he is exceptionally powerful and has the utmost respect for him. The higher-ups of the Akatsuki, such as Deidara and Kisame, also have high respect for Itachi. Now, this is just my theory, so just bear with me for a second, guys, but I think the Amaterasu is faster than this instant Kamui. And Obito would need to use his Mangekyo to actually use Kamui. There's a weird thing going on with Obito that me and my friends have talked about where he doesn't use his Mangekyo to fight. So there is a chance that he just uses Kamui just without even activating the Mangekyo. And of course when he activates his Mangekyo, like when he's in the war, it would be amped. And when Itachi placed that trap, Obito was so gobsmacked that he just couldn't even activate Kamui. He was just so gobsmacked by Itachi's plan and by Sasuke using it. But I do think it is impressive that even while dead, Itachi was still threatening Obito's life, and Obito thinks to himself, wow, he could have killed me if he knew everything about me. That is an insane statement for the person who should be the strongest member of the Akatsuki. Itachi's speed is very consistent as one of the fastest in the series, other than like characters like the Raikage, and there are a lot of arguments whether or not Itachi is as fast as the Raikage. Naruto in KCM actually squares up with Itachi for a little bit, and even though Itachi and Nagato are trying to help them fight them, we actually do see that Itachi can react to Nagato, to Killer Bee, and Naruto at the same time. This is insane. This is above Sasuke level Killer Bee and KCM Naruto, the guy that basically soloed the 4th Shinobi War until characters like Madara showed up. Itachi also uses his big brain, speed, and insta-kill abilities to finesse people. Itachi as well is an extremely dangerous character with the Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, Yadamira, Izanami, and all of his genjutsu prowess, that he is an insanely tricky and a sort of one-of-a-kind fighter that no Naruto character can really compete with until characters like Madara shows up. Itachi, similar to Pain Nagato, is a character that scales well and truly above the likes of the Sannin. We see a blind, nearly dead Orochimaru react to and stab an amped Orochimaru. If you guys don't know, the 8-headed serpent jutsu is supposed to be Orochimaru's strongest technique, stronger than Edo Tensei on any of his snake summoning. So yes, this is an amped Sannin getting one-tapped by a blind character. And people might say, well, the Totsuka blade is slow, but we actually do see it tag Nagato of all characters who can react to Killer Bee, can react to Naruto, and people say, well, Nagato can't walk and all that crap, and we actually see Nagato dash up to take Naruto's soul out, so it's actually debatable whether or not Nagato can walk. And in Itachi's highest forms of scaling, you can say that he is a rival to EMS Sasuke, which is insanely consistent if you think that Itachi was stronger than Sasuke in the fight with Kabuto, which I do think is true, and EMS Sasuke is the same guy that was fighting Jubito. I do think Sasuke got stronger, but you know, that's what happens. This sort of powerful version of Itachi needs to be commented on because people think Itachi is a rival to Sasuke in their fight, which is just not true. We know that through the whole show, Itachi is playing the role of the crazy madman, and when he is in Edo, we really see what he's truly capable of. And if in the series, if Kakashi is described as a shinobi, Itachi is the assassin of the verse. Speaking of Madara, like, we've brought up Biju, Akatsuki members, Hokage, Jinchuriki. Madara just laughs at all of these characters, and it's no wonder that it took people like Hashirama to really show up and start fighting him. The Kage, who working together obviously was an insanely impressive showing, but even that was nothing compared to the perfect Susanoo. We see, similar to Itachi, Madara also holds back all the time, so getting a good gauge on his full power is questionable. But let's just go into what Madara can do right now. Madara can slap Gaara's platoon in taijutsu alone, and is only interested in using the Tengai Shinsei only when Kabuto makes note of it. Characters like KCM Naruto, who would be able to fight Pain at this point pretty easily, gets absolutely gobsmacked by Madara's abilities. Other than Itachi's crazy spirit weapons, we see that Madara's Susanoo is like the best in the series. He's able to demolish the entire platoon easily. He's able to use clones to create more Susanos. He's able to use wood clones. He has insane reaction time with the Renegon at being able to absorb Inoki's particle style and Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. He has wood style and deep forest immersion, which would actually give these characters a hard time if they got caught lacking. There might not be enough things that they can do to get out of it, arguably just Chibaku Tensei. We also see Madara is an insanely versatile fire style user, and that his AP in fire style jutsu can match 5 experts in water style. We see throughout the whole time that he's fighting that he's just laughing and making fun of children, and
what adult would go full force when fighting mere children?
Madara's just base aura Susanoo is strong enough to fuck around pretty much anyone, including KCM2 Naruto, who is an insane character. We also see Madara could fight characters like Guy and KCM Naruto and Kakashi fairly easily. We see that he is more than likely above the full Bijou and Tailed Beast put together, and with massive Shinra Tenseis, massive Chibaku Tenseis, it's no wonder that the Shinobi Alliance couldn't even land a scratch on Madara without him just giving it to them. So with Madara, it's sort of more consistent to say that he's more of a full 10 Tails rival rather than just the 9 Tails, and it really takes Jubito for anyone to really be like, oh wow, he's stronger than Madara. So how would the fight actually go? We've sort of set the scene. We've got Edo Itachi, we've got Edo Minato, and Edo Nagato versus Edo Madara. So the first thing you'll note here is that, well, with 25 wood clones that can all use a Susanoo, it's probably not going very well. And with Madara using those clones, it's absolute stomp. But what if he didn't? What if it's just one-on-one? We've got our Edo Tensei crew, and then we've got our Edo Tensei Madara. And let's say he doesn't use wood clones. So honestly, if we're talking about in character, I think these guys take it. Now there's a few things that'd go on here that's a little bit weird. I think starting distance has a lot of important sort of factors here. If they start far away and Madara just summons a Tengai Shinsei, it's actually still pretty good for our team here. We know that Minato can just teleport away. Itachi could use the Yada Mirror with, Nagato there with him. Nagato might be able to Chibaku Tensei, the Tengai Shinsei. And, if Madara is in character, he's going to be curious of what these people can do. He's not just going to instantly wood clone, fuck them in the ass, sort of how he did the Kage. The Kage kind of annoyed him and he had to insult them because the 5 Kage were trash talking him and Madara was like, no. So honestly, Madara is going to look at Itachi. Itachi is 100% going to be Madara's absolute fascination. He's going to be complimenting his eyes like he did Sasuke. He's going to be looking at Nagato's abilities and going fascinating. He's going to compare Minato to Tobirama, and then honestly, these characters with all their insta-kill moves might actually catch him off guard. But what about, the perfect Susanoo? What would that do? Well, I think we've established before that Minato should be able to avoid it. That won't be too much of an issue. Nagato, honest to God, might be able to absorb it. Let me know what you guys think about that. Put down in the comments. Can Nagato absorb the Susanoo, and would he be amped? Because if that's the case, then we have an extremely overpowered Nagato. Might be able to use 100 Chibaku Tenseis to annoy Madara and distract him enough for Minato or Itachi to put him down. The only real win cons we would see in this fight is the Reaper Death Seal and the Totsuka Blade. Maybe Nagato could suck out his soul, but I don't think so. I think Madara is probably too strong. If KCM Naruto can pull his soul back into his body, Madara will be doing exactly the same thing easily. We might honestly also see like a Genjutsu type scuffle where Itachi and Madara would have a Genjutsu clash, in which case it would actually be terrible for Madara because that means that Nagato and Minato can maybe put him down with an insta-kill move. And if I'm being totally honest, the way that I'm seeing this fight going is that Madara starts in his perfect Susanoo, Nagato annoys him too much, and then Madara just gives them the hands. And I can actually see more win cons for Madara overall if he is just in base, giving them hands, trying to suck their soul out. And if I'm being totally honest, the only real way that an Edo Tensei fight would go down is with Reaper Death or a soul absorption. Otherwise, they're just going to keep regenerating, and it's going to be really awkward. Like, even Minato zipping around with his KCM2 level speed, Madara will be able to probably just regenerate. But how would Alive go? How would Alive versus Alive go? Well, it's actually way more of a stomp for Madara. Alive, Madara would not be taking any chances unless you think that arrogant Madara, the one who was, you know, fighting Gaara and got caught off guard. That's actually a really good point. If Madara gets caught off guard like he did Gaara, then maybe, you know, these characters can do something. Something else about Alive Madara that not a lot of people bring up is that he just doesn't have the Renegon. So we have this weird situation where we might have this arguably stronger Madara, but it's also, he can't absorb any jutsu. He doesn't have the Renegon abilities. The best thing he has is the perfect Susanoo. And if we're talking about Prime Nagato, he might be able to still absorb the Susanoo. If any of these characters can distract Madara enough, like the 5 Kage can do, these characters have way better ways to put Madara down than any of the Kage. You gotta remember that Minato, Itachi, and Nagato, they're all separately, individually, probably stronger than the 5 Kage. Arguably Itachi might not be able to do it, but for the most part these characters are all over the 5 Kage easily. So in conclusion, I know this was a bit sort of contrived, but I do think it is a little bit more likely that our characters, Minato, Nagato, Itachi, could win in Edo if Madara is not trying and being silly. But as soon as Madara thinks that they're a threat, thinks that, you know, he should be taking them a bit more seriously, he would obliterate them easily with probably a Soul Steal. And all these characters alive and in their prime, you know, Valley of the End Madara would probably smack them up, unless you think that he would go easy on them, because we do know that Madara does respect strength. He would actually be curious as to what these characters can do, and he wouldn't be disgusted in them like he would the 5 Kage. So I think Edo Tensei, if I'm being honest, the Minato, Nagato, Itachi might be able to win sort of 3 or 4 out of 10 times, and Alive, I'd say it's more like a kind of 2. Edo gives those characters a big buff, like KCM, infinite stamina for Itachi, immortal body. It just is going to be easier for these characters when they're Edo, but Alive Madara versus these characters while they're alive is much more difficult. It'd actually be a really interesting fight. Guys, let me know what you think of this matchup. Obviously, this is where I stand. I think that Minato, Nagato, and Itachi could do it. They could actually pull it off. But the second Madara is serious. He would actually destroy all of them. I don't think I have to say that. I just wanted to get across in this video that yes, it is likely that characters could take down Madara if they have the right techniques, they have the speed and the coordination and the teamwork. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Next time, I think I'll be talking about who is the strongest member of the Akatsuki. Look forward to that. Check out the videos I've done with my friends that I've mentioned before, Loco and Prodigy. And if you like what I'm doing, subscribe. I hate saying subscribe because it's like, you guys would do it anyway. I don't have to tell you. So if you like Naruto, you like me, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.